Good morning. Today we'll be talking about chrononutrition because the first week of September was actually World Nutrition Week, and it's always good to know and hear about new things. Good morning, Dr. Evaristus, Chukwudike, and Mrs. Sherese Ijewere. It's a pleasure to have both of you here with us. If I can, I'd like to start with Mrs. Ijewere. Mrs. Ijewere, can you tell us about what chrononutrition is? I must tell you, the people, there are just so many issues with nutrition. Every day there's some sort of new diet, some new fad, some new trend, and people just don't know what to believe anymore. So, can you tell us what is chrononutrition and how is it different from regular nutrition advice?
Thank you, Dr. Pamela, for this invite. Chrononutrition is all about the timing of your meals, how your body's circadian rhythm works, which is just like the internal biological clock of the body. It differs in terms of just eating randomly. This means that you are eating within a timed sequence of the sleeping and waking cycle. So you're eating between the sunrise and the sunset only.
Okay, so how does it affect us? I mean, how does this timing of meals really affect metabolism? Does it affect weight management? Does it affect energy levels? I mean, what does it do?
So good question. It, yes, affects your metabolism. So for example, in the morning, you have insulin sensitivity, glucose tolerance, digestive enzyme activities are higher in the morning and early afternoon. So this means your body handles carbs, fats, and proteins efficiently earlier in the day. Now, this chrononutrition also helps with weight management. It helps with your energy levels, because if you're eating within the sunrise to sunset, it helps you just improve that whole insulin sensitivity. And also the metabolism is at its higher peak. And then it helps with your energy levels as well. Energy is used more efficiently and effectively.
So you're saying eat between sunrise and sunset. I mean, the truth is that most people can't do that because most people go to work and then they go into traffic and then they get home at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and then they eat. I mean, is eating late at night really bad for us? Why? Why is it so harmful? I mean, bearing in mind, it's actually what a lot of people, it's the only time a lot of people can eat.
That's true. I agree. But studies have also shown that eating breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, supper like a pauper supports the weight control and the balance of the system. Also, using time restricted eating. So I know that a lot of people, timing is a problem, but if you're eating when the sun rises or earlier in the morning, which many people are going to work, so you can actually pack your morning breakfast, have it at work, and just have your last meal as your lightest meal. So if sun sets at 6 or at 7, you would have it before then, and try to go to bed within 3 hours of eating so you won't be up snacking late at night. The late night meals disrupt the quality of sleep. It reduces the energy, it reduces the metabolic rate. It also causes digestive issues, and poor sleep activity will cause your hunger hormones to escalate. That ghrelin hormone will just be overworking, and then you find yourself snacking, which then it's that routine of just going in a cycle where you're snacking at night and you're wondering why you're gaining weight.
Okay, if I can then jump over to Dr. Evaristus. Dr. Evaristus, you're a gastroenterologist. Really, can you explain to us how the digestive system's internal clock or circadian rhythm, how does it influence how we process food?
Thank you, everyone. So, naturally, um, the circadian rhythm and feeding pattern favors diurnal process rather than nocturnal. So meaning daytime feeding. We are wired actually, our body is wired actually to favor daytime feeding rather than late night feeding. So generally, our basal metabolic rate is high up in the day, especially in the early hours and midday. The more we step into late night, the basal metabolic rate decreases, and that's even worse when we are asleep. So there's a drop in basal metabolic rate, and so the processing of our food is affected. Metabolism. No, we want to talk about metabolism. We're talking about both the build-up and breakdown. So if our build-up is more than the breakdown, we have imbalance, and that's what tilts to weight gain. It also affects the processes by which the body breaks most of the nutrients we have. It's a lot of things happening in the night, cholesterol production. We look at glucose, how the body handles glucose, the insulin metabolism. So when we eat more at night, there is now a shift of what it is. And because the body is wired already to favor diurnal process, that's daytime feeding. If we continue to feed late night, or even we have irregular feeding of daytime, late night, it affects the way our body is prepared to absorb, to digest first, to absorb, and to make use of the nutrients which we have taken into our body. So this imbalance tilts against the body's internal clock, which is what we call the circadian rhythm.
So Dr. Evaristus, you've spoken, and also Sherese spoke a lot about glucose and glucose tolerance as opposed to glucose intolerance. So are you saying that people with diabetes, conditions like diabetes, conditions like obesity, are more vulnerable to the negative effects of eating at irregular times, i.e. during the night? What impact does it really have on diabetes and obesity?
So thank you. So this is true of both diabetes, obesity, and diabetes, but not limited to obesity and diabetes. Eating late at night affects many other medical conditions. Talk about irritable bowel syndrome. You talk about not even non-alcoholic fatty liver disease and other medical abnormalities that eating disorder affects. So it's not just diabetes, but for diabetes and obesity, you know, if obesity, part of obesity, problem of obesity is imbalance in how the body breaks what we eat and the excess that is left. Of course, and other metabolic changes that go on, inflammation and other processes that will not lose so much big medical works. So if one eats late at night, what do you expect? You expect that there will be so much excess left, and this worsens diabetes. Worsens obesity. It also worsens how the body processes glucose. So if the body does not process glucose effectively, you will have what is diabetes. Diabetes is when there is insulin is unable, the body is unable to produce enough insulin, or the body insulin has insulin that is not even ineffective insulin processing, which is more in type 2 diabetes. So in type 2 diabetes will be much affected in this set of people where the body is unable to process the glucose that is there. Though the person may have glucose, but it's like suffering in the midst of plenty. So if in the night, if one has abnormal feeding, late night feeding, it will worsen the way the body processes the glucose, and diabetes, type 2 diabetes will get worse. But this is also where ignorance comes in, where our people say, because diabetic, I have sugar. Okay, let me not even eat. It's also another problem, because if someone does not eat, the body will look for the glucose from somewhere, because the brain only uses glucose. So the body will make use of glucose by going to the muscles to have the glucose, and then worsens the glucose control. So somebody, I don't take glucose, but my sugar is even worse. So balance, making sure that our eating falls within the annual and is regular. Not just that, is regular. If we have that, it will help insulin sensitivity. It will also help in reduction of weight. It also helps in managing obesity. So these are different ways we can look at this.
Thank you very much. Dr. Evaristus, that's so interesting, because a lot of people do have, diabetes or impaired glucose tolerance. And if they know that it's important to really time their meals, it could go a long way with helping them control their conditions. But another important question I'd like to ask you is, what impact does meal timing have on gut health and the microbiome? And if you can explain the microbiome to our listeners and gut health just before you start, please.
So when we talk about the microbiome and we look at gut health, so when you say microbiome, it's like you're looking at the community of microorganisms in the body. So in this community, there are beneficial organisms. There are organisms that are there that also not very also much beneficial. So when we talk about beneficial organisms, you are looking at organisms that enhance gut health. For instance, there are organisms in the body that help in enhancing metabolism, break down the internal processes of the body. They produce even metabolites that help the body to function properly. Some of them help to even enhance short-chain fatty acids, that dampen inflammation in the body. There are organisms, for instance, organisms we call bacteriaceae. Some of them produce more of ammonia. So for people that have, for instance, liver disease, that have excess, that are struggling with their liver, when they have excess bacteriaceae that produce excess ammonia, they have problem with the liver breaking down, converting the ammonia into ammonium, which the liver has been, the work the liver does. What will happen? Some of them will bypass the liver and gets to the brain. We now have what we call somebody who now having a psychosis, having problem like look like somebody's having some form of madness, and other things we call hepatic encephalopathy, because part of it, the ammonia is largely produced in the gut. The gut is the chief site where ammonia is produced. So gut health is very important in producing beneficial organisms that will help in the body, help the body to thrive well. We are looking at a lot of microorganisms, organisms that help the gut to function very well. There are so many of them. So it's essential that we know that in our whole gut process of living, and also help our body generally to work very well. So it is very important that our people know much about gut health and microbiota. And also the feeding, late feeding, also negatively affects microorganisms. So what will happen is that the process of enzymes working effectively, getting our food to get broken down effectively, absorption will be affected. The maintenance of body cycle will be affected. The way the internal system of the body will also be affected. Like where you may look at the may look at the inflammation that goes on, which some of the organisms will also affect the inflammation. Body can be inflamed. You can also look at what we look at, the reflux symptoms. They are all intertwined in partly in the aspect of gut health. So gut health is when there is an abnormal imbalance, what we call dysbiosis, abnormal, there's imbalance in these microorganisms. Metabolism, absorption, the regulation of the internal system, the internal milieu of the gut is also affected. I mean, diseases occur from there.
Yes, that's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, from a medical perspective, what practical steps, just a couple of practical steps, can listeners take to align their eating habits with their body's natural rhythms? Because if people have been naturally eating, at night, which is, like I said, mostly is a convenience thing, how do they then change that, to eating that? I think if you can just start off, and then perhaps Sherese, you can join him.
Okay, so Sherese, I mentioned what happened, the importance of this when she was starting. So it is very important that our people get to know, but whichever way one looks at it, discipline is very important, and getting to know, and that's the sense of this awareness program, people getting to know what can happen, because why people do what they do is partly ignorance. Okay, so you see people that eat very late at night, and then they wake up in the morning and keep continuing on heartburn. The heartburn has worsened. They don't get to know that if you eat, whenever you eat food, normally how the body functions. When you eat food, acid bombs into the stomach to help in the breakdown, in the digestion and metabolism process. So if you are awake, you are likely going to be sitting up, or you are walking. But if you take food late at night, and some of them, once they finish eating, they get to the bed. Acid is pumping into the stomach. The person is already on the bed. What will happen? The acid will now migrate. Excess acid in the stomach will migrate to the burn the stomach. Some of them will migrate up. So the person wakes up and keeps complaining of heartburn, pain in the upper part of the chest. It's partly because the person is late. And in our treatment, one of the cornerstones of treating these people is to let them know that you have to eat at least 2 to 3 hours before you get to bed. By the time it has come into the and has helped in a breakdown of food and has resolved. So it's very important that people get to know that these things are important. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much. So, Sherese, if we would go over to you, can you talk specifically about any specific meal patterns you recommend, in particular for people who need better sleep or overall well-being?
Yes, absolutely. So practical tips. One is to be consistent. We know that, yes, eating between sunrise and sunset is very beneficial. So that means you have to plan ahead, meal prep. You may want to think about using the intermittent fasting restrictions, which just means that it's time restricted eating. And you can decide to eat between 10 and 6. Or 11 and 6, or 12 and 6. You can decide to use that window. You can go to 7, but not later than that, because of course the sun will set by then. You want to distribute the meals across the day. And remember, your heaviest meal would be in the morning, then followed by your next meal in the afternoon, and in the evening, be consistent with it being the lightest meal. You don't want to confuse your circadian rhythm and also disrupt the metabolism. So limiting certain things. In the evening, going with lighter meals. Maybe it's the pepper soup, maybe it's the vegetable soup, something light, nothing heavy. And stick with the natural things in the daytime, such as your yam, your plantain. This is steamed or boiled. If you're looking at helping your gut health improve, look at those things that are fermented. So If you're seasoning, you use your iru, you can use your pap, you can have yogurt as well. So these things help to rebalance the metabolism, and just eating within that consistency of time helps to improve your sleep, your insulin sensitivity, helps to improve the digestive system. To just be consistent, because when you eat matters and what you eat matters.
Thank you. But, you know, even as you say that, people have such busy schedules. How can they practice better, healthier timing, meal timing? Well, actually, actually only have a couple of minutes now left to the end of the show. So we can't really go into that in detail unless you can incorporate that answer into your last words for our listeners. Sherese.
Okay, so focus on your protein and your complex carbs. Have a meal plan. Get a dietitian, a nutritionist to plan for you, so that on the weekends you can cook, maybe take it with you to work, or you can have a co-op at work where they are preparing meals. Yes.
Thank you. Dr. Evaristus, any last words for our listeners?
I want to encourage our listeners to know that we need discipline to get it done. So we do everything possible to promote daytime feeding as against late night feeding. It is difficult everywhere, but with determination, one can do it, knowing that there are a lot of health benefits that come with eating in the day and as against eating late night. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe for new video updates.